And now we're moving on to our final presentation here today by Enda Nolan and his colleague here. I'm sorry, Niall O'Kane, indeed. They're going to speak about applying BIM to existing buildings. Enda is a director of Coastway, of Irish legal mapping and of subsurface laser scanning. Coastway was set up in 1999 as a partnership with Mark Hudson, who was the chief surveyor on the Channel Tunnel, and they managed to meet in the middle, so he obviously is a man of capability. And the Jubilee Line extension, Coastway have since been appointed the chief surveyor of the tunnels under the Liffey, which probably nobody is generally aware of, but they actually do exist for 100 years now, Enda? 100 years plus. With that, let me hand you over to Enda and Neil.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank Malachy. You mentioned a few, just get set up there, a few very interesting words there. The first was the pod. We've an architect and an engineer sharing the stage here this morning about to discuss scan to BIM. The second was the microphone. Yeah, you get it. The second was RFI. I was that engineer using the fax, and it normally started with I've looked at all the drawings and there is a clash, and that RFI went out, and it was basically a license to print money for whoever, and the delays that came back with that. Glad to say technology has moved on. Thanks for the introduction. We'll just, for those of you that are looking at the piece of equipment over here on the left, this is a laser scanner. It's a Leica 6000 laser scanner. This one here is now about 3 years old, and thanks to Moore's law, we've moved on to the 7000s, and I don't know, about 5 times as fast as this one. I'm not going to use it today. You can go to Specsavers yourself and sort that one out. There's a little bit about Coastway itself. My background in engineering, Niall's is architecture. Niall and ourselves, we actually done a laser scan recently of, what is it? Hangar 6 in Dublin Airport. We were about to demo it, too big. Niall's actually doing his thesis on it at the moment. We can talk more outside about that. But we thought, why not actually scan this room here and create a model of it. So a couple of weeks back we brought a laser scanner in. We had a couple of hours to do it. We scanned the building, and I think we scanned down to the coffee dock down below. A little bit about Coastway there, and I'll move on. There are a few animations which should, hopefully you'll have a few questions on the end of it. What we're trying to do is create model. A lot of modern buildings wouldn't have the models, and I know Niall earlier on, there was a question asked to him about Intel had a model, and he'd have to come back to it. We have actually done some scanning out there, and we're talking to Intel at the moment about, shall we say, building models, etc. I'll move on to now. This is not a video. This is billions and billions of points, if it's running there, laser scan points of the corridor outside. We've animated them together. This was picked up with a Faro laser scanner, full colour, and if you just run with it, you can see the certain areas. We'll come to them after with a couple of questions. We're coming outside at the moment, and we will eventually end up down here. It's have a look. Okay, we're inside. You'll see what's picked up at the moment is point cloud data, billions and billions of survey points, each one of them having an XYZ coordinate which can be tied together. You will see little target points. One, if you take a look when we get to it, is stuck to the front of this, that little spherical that allows us to tie every scan together. Again, there's full colour on the scanner. Scanners have moved on. Right, next one. At this, well, I'll let Niall, shall we, take over. I would, shall we say, be still, shall we say, working my way out of the CAD triangle there. I'll let Niall tell you a bit more about, because Niall actually done the models, and I'll let you give a little bit of a talk on it.
So, hello everyone, my name is Niall O'Kane. I'm from the Architecture Department of DIT. I'm doing my master's thesis in architecture. So my interest was very much similar as Malachy. It's performance design, and actually seeing what is going on in a building, especially ones that have already been constructed. And a lot of cases that some of the buildings that go back to the 80s, we don't actually have a lot of information. There's not many drawings available. So straight away I was thinking of what is the most efficient way that I could access that information. So a lot of people get confused by building information model. It is a term that's thrown around, but the best way to think about building information model, it's a reservoir of information that we all want to have access to, and all the different design members want to have access to. So if none of you have actually ever seen a building information model, this is actually what it looks like. So this is actually a building information model we actually generated of this actual theatre. So the process I developed with working with Enda and Coastway was, how do we get this information as fast as possible? I want to go literally from a point cloud straight into a model so we can all get working on it. So this is actually good news, because this can be done now. Like, this particular model was done in a day. The scan here was done in about an hour. So the information is out there. So I've documented here, this is the workflow for this particular scan of this auditorium, how it was actually conducted. So we start obviously here with the site or area of investigation, which is the science gallery, and we use in this case the laser scanner Faro Focus. The reason for that is because it has a built-in optical camera, so it's actually able to not only record the entire scan area in a spherical 360-degree panorama, so that's a very good tool to refer back to if there's certain areas of the survey that you wanted to look at again, but then it's also actually taking that point cloud data. So what actually happens? How do you get to the information? So a scanner operator will bring the scanner back, and that information is almost like on a memory key, and then you can bring that information onto your computer and straight away interface with it. And then if the client or particular design team we're working with wanted to know, well, I need straight away a building information model, I want to start working with that, you can straight away export that as multiple different file formats. You can see them here listed below, actual raw data, or even if you want to actually have just traditional two-dimensional DWG drawings, or DGN if you're using Bentley system. So this will go through, and this can be hosted online with actual cloud web hosting. So any design member anywhere in the world can access that information and actually see what's going on in that space. So these are the range of scanners that Coastway were using. So I was very lucky to actually use the HDS 6000 on Hangar 6 because of the range. So this particular scanner can scan up to about 150 meters. And you think about the capabilities of that, where the hangar ceiling height was 30 meters high. So by able to actually scanning even this auditorium, you can reach the actual ceiling and even read the barcodes off the light fittings up there. So imagine if you had to get in a scaffolding system, how long that would take just to get up there to actually have a look. So basically, for you that don't know what a laser scanner is, and Enda could maybe go through more in terms of the technical aspect of it, in terms of description, if you want to.
Yeah. For those of you that are familiar with, you've probably seen the tripod before, but you'd normally see a man standing behind it, pointing a finger in the air and focusing on a point in the distance. Very similar, only this is automatic. And thankfully we've moved on. A lot of us have spent a lot of time behind the tripod. This particular scanner, the 6000, will pick up. Now I'd like to show it to you, but it is a phase 3 laser, and shall we say, it wouldn't do my insurance any good if someone did come back to me. It will pick up 975,000 points per second. It will spin, rotate, and you'll see a red line move across the room, and it will pick up the reflections, shall we say, on return. This one does not have full colour on it, so we'll generate a point cloud. We have attachable cameras on it. This piece of kit is very, very useful. We were in London last week on the Crossrail project, where we've developed a tripod that allows us to invert this and drop it down. I think we dropped it down about 30 metres into an old well. The tunnel runs directly below the site, and they wanted to know what this was. It turns out there was a brewery on top of the old Whitechapel site some 200 years ago. This is now, believe it or not, a preserved item. If you just go back a couple of slides, the far focus is, as Moore's law moves, it's the new kid on the block. It's full colour, it's much faster, and this is actually the scanner that we used on this room. We were in and out here. I think we've done about 4 or 5 scans, possibly 6 in here, and we moved a few down the way. The HDS scanner is a much more versatile scanner. Today it's actually in use on the Cavnacaw gold mine up in Omagh, where every month we go in, we fix points around the area. We can scan the whole over about 120 metres at a time. We can scan the area, we can tell then, we can build a model from there. We've been doing it for a few years now, and we can tell the owners how much volume of material they've taken out. They can, from there, work out their profits, basically, volume, etc., out of the place. Very versatile, long range. The 6000, you may hear you'll hear the trains go by every few minutes here. It's I like it a lot. I tell you why, because my background is rail as well. This, the 6000, we have a track-mounted trolley. We've scanned from Connolly Station all the way to Sandymount on the trolley. We have a full 3D model of it, and thankfully we've convinced Irish Rail to buy several other licenses for the software, and we've trained their guys up on the use of point clouds and so on. They have a full 3D model, and the track trolley will actually pick up every discrepancy on the track as it, should we say, as it makes its way out. We're able to produce a file for them there to send in the tamper. The tamper will automatically, as long as we know that it knows where its chainage is by GPS, it will tamp the tracks. It will correct them every couple of months. We've done it at night. There's no problem. At night, the point cloud, we done the whole thing, I think, in about 4 hours, non-stop, all the way down. And shall we say, I'd like to do more of them. They were sticking the model together was the hard thing. We spent an awful lot of time tying it together to Irish Grid. Thankfully, and this is where, shall we say, BIM comes in, we're able now to hand onto the client the point cloud and say, here's your information, what do you want to do with it? And they've come back to us in certain instances going, did you pick up the bridge number, blah, 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 and they go, yes, you have the details, you can now work on that. And that's the, that's where it's down, isn't it? That's quite handy. Yeah, the accuracies of the laser scanner, we're looking at, they vary. You can set them yourself. Obviously, if you set them to 20 millimetres for the likes of the gold mine, you're taking in a wider area, longer distance. We can set it to 20 millimetre accuracy. We can set it to less. We can set it 5. We can actually set it to sub-millimetre. We're actually using some scanners where we're actually recording the likes of artefacts. There were certain artefacts found on the new motorway system. We have a sub-millimetre scanner where we can record artefacts. We weren't allowed to touch a certain amount of them. They're with the museum at the moment, but we recorded them, and we can produce 3D models of them, 3D PDFs in colour. I think we'll move on to the actual creation of the BIM model of this. Let me see, where are we? Right. I'll hand you back to Niall there, and he'll actually talk you through what he's actually done for this room.
Okay, so this is actually a detail I've taken of the actual point cloud that was conducted of this space, and I straight away showed it in a view we're all used to seeing, a sectional view, an orthographic view is the definite architects are used to working with. But what's interesting, I can kind of add a point here, is that you can even now bring a point cloud into Google SketchUp. So if you wanted to literally do a simple conceptual mass, the point cloud data generated by Coastway, you can actually open that up in SketchUp and start working on it straight away. So if you're not needing to go into the full effort of building information modeling and you're wanting to extract, as I said, from that like reservoir of information, something specific like a light feature or something, you can do that straight away. So again, this is a nice overview where I'm able to mask out the ceiling so we can actually have a full overview. So firstly, when you present this to people, they're like, well, how'd you get up there? You know, and you're like, well, it's a full object, so we can take any view at it anywhere, anytime. So this is a really good drawing to show, because you see a lot of things online and YouTube showing, oh, this product can do this. But this is a great montage actually showing the real point cloud data in the real building information modeling. And you can actually see where I extracted the exact furniture, the exact structure of the light system here, the exact doors, the exact column. You know, so everything's there. Even the podium I'm at right now, you can actually see. So here's a good example of any of the handrails you see here, where I can do exact shape extraction. It's the exact handrail. That's actually your own there, Malachy, there. The exact profile. So this actually straight away should show the possibilities of MEP and what type of extraction you can do if these were pipes. There's no problem. You can directly interface with the point cloud. So this is an example of some of the production drawings that come out of the building information process. Very clean, very crisp overview of the entire building. You can put a transparency in the ceiling, as you can see, have all of the services in there. And again, a nice sectional view. It's all to scale 1:1. And again, you can see the actual point cloud data in the background as an underlay. So it's nice that in this example, I've actually turned off the family of the actual chairs, so you can actually use the point cloud as an actual supplementary graphic. And this is again a nice short section, kind of my view here facing up towards the fire doors. And even if you actually see the annotative lines in the fire doors, that they're all correct. So this is something then I want to show, is that it doesn't just end there. We have a very rich point cloud data which we generated very rapidly of this space, and it's very detailed. And continuing on with Malachy, like we have an ethos in Bolton Street about pushing the envelope. So for this particular space, I was able to bring in into Ecotech analysis and actually do some analysis on this space and see what's going on. So this is a nice kind of video I'll kind of finish up on, just showing you some kind of thermal analysis. You actually see what's going on. And straight away, I was able to have access to this information. You actually see a little hotspot there from the lights that was on. And that's it. So we'd love to hear some of your questions.
Will you run that other? Yeah. I'm just going to leave a little animation.
As we mentioned, one of the benefits of using a photo-based laser scanner is you're actually able to generate full immersive 3D spherical scans. So what's interesting about this is that you can actually take yourself a graphic of whatever plan. So we have the actual science gallery plan here, and I can zoom to any view. So if I want to go to my exact position now, I can do that straight away, and I actually can see. So even if you hadn't been to the site and you were part of the design team, you're like, well, what does it look like? You can actually use that information. You can zoom around, you can use the arrows, you can navigate around the space as if you were there. So it's, again, another great benefit that you're getting from laser scanning technology.
That's not a video.
Yeah, I have to reiterate this. Any point along there, you can take measurements, you can draft from it and model from it. It's not a video. It's the, shall we say, it's Moore's Law go. Our first scanner, shall we say, is now history. It was a point cloud only. People were asking the same question. Is it a video? Well, can I get colour with it? Obviously improvements have come along the way, and that is a point cloud. Billions and billions of survey points. All stuck together. Thanks.
Excellent. And,
Cheers.